Welcome back to Astrohealth. We have seen Leo, the sun sign, in the previous episode. Do tell us about Virgo, that is, about those who are born between August 23rd to September 23rd.
Having seen Leo and talked about the deficiency of the salt. So we are talking about only medical astrology, but that doesn't mean that deficiency of salt does not signify a particular attribute of the character, the person born in a particular sun sign. Well, let us see a little bit of Virgo as well, because Virgo, when you talk about Virgo, you invariably talk about Gemini also. You both have the same Lagna Lord, that is Mercury. Both are. Virgo is a very sensitive sign, like Gemini, but they're quite different. Those born in Virgo are a little bit sensual as well.
Sensual.
You know what I mean? They are quite romantic. They conduct a very deep study to whatever they are doing, and they're intellectuals, born intellectuals. And moving to that, it is very difficult to distinguish between their eccentricism and their pragmatism as well. Suddenly you think that they are pragmatic, and then you realize that this was a little bit of an eccentric hash. And but finally, when you do that, the damage is already done. But they're like quicksilver. They're really very fast. They don't appear to be very fast. Geminis are not like that. Geminis appear very, very fast, and in fact they are also very hasty. There's a difference between being fast and being hasty. Geminis are prone to be very hasty. Virgos are fast, but they don't appear to be fast. So they have a hidden talent. That's what is more appealing. Secondly, the Virgos have a very good knack of holding on to themselves. And, they do wonderful projections. Their packaging skills are great. And once they start doing that, then they are real successful. Because the way they package their talent, I don't think any other site can do that. Gemini will start exhibiting their skills too early, even without mastering them, and even without knowing that the others are making fun of them. But Virgos are not like that. They're true practical about their artistic skills they possess. They can be real deep learners, quick thinkers, and they're quite lovable people. And the natural sixth sign, they're friendly with a lot of people, and their success, their success in social life is much more than what can be attributed to other signs. But then, as I said, they're sensitive, sensual, and sometimes because of their because of practicing too much of what they think they like, they end up in being a little bit of insensible characters, and so they do make certain blunders, and because of that, one mistake. You have a Telugu song, "Oka porapatuku yugamulu pomile." Alaga, so that sort of a thing, one small blunder ruins their life, and then they keep repenting, but they do overcome, and then, because they are quick learners and quick movers, they take a lot of things in their stride. That is about Virgo, and most of this comes from a deficiency of potassium sulfate. Yeah, if you see someone with a sinus or bronchitis, or somebody is always rubbing the nose, maybe one guesswork is they are from Virgo. And this bronchitis and sinus, or sometimes allergic bronchitis. And the Virgos have this knack of not really treating their diseases early. They don't go to the doctor once too often because they engage themselves in a discussion with somebody else about it. And on bronchitis, for example, if the doctor says you are allergic to something, don't take that. They're not going to follow that advice. So the trouble is, they don't accept that they have a situation. In fact, they say that, well, I have learned to live with it. But I would suggest picking up something like Cali Sulf, 3x, Cali Sulf, yeah, 3x, 2 tablets daily. That really helps them. That generates the immunity. No. What is allergic bronchitis all about? You eat something or you breathe somewhere where you're not supposed to, and something gets into your lungs, and then it disturbs you. It just stays there, and then a sort of an allergy is created within those pipes. So you see them holding their breath sometimes and suddenly gasping. Yes, they will be even searching for free space everywhere. They don't like to be in small places. That is Virgo for you, and in fact, we have added one more item to this episode. We were talking about the energetic planets, the planet which is in the 29th or the 30th degree of the sun. And this is a very interesting subject for all astrologers because it gives 100% results. You may not be knowing, but there are astrologers who feel very bad when somebody tells, yeah, you told me something and that didn't happen. And the astrologer says, see, it's not like that. The subject is not an accurate one. So it's about tendencies and trials and tribulations. In fact, the tribulation is for the client and the trials are for the astrologer. But yes, if you can really predict the attribute of a person using certain degrees, then of course a lot of predictions can be made fairly accurately. Now, in the previous episode we talked about Sun being in an analytic degree. Today we will talk about Moon. Now, suppose the Moon is positioned in an analytic degree, that indicates that the established emotional habit patterns and automatic responses require thorough revision and are periodically brought up for you. The problem here is that suppose somebody is emotional, yes. In fact, we are talking about Virgo, they are quite emotional. And the EI quotient, the emotional intelligence quotient, is very high for all Virgos. Generally, yes. And these individuals must be willing to surrender prejudiced and preconceived notions inherent in their family and cultural backgrounds. Now, that's a big hindrance for a lot of people. And especially if the Moon is afflicted, if they are making further progress in life, particularly in regard to business, family, and domestic affairs. If somebody has a prejudiced notion, we commonly say the mental block. The mental block is usually because the Moon is positioned in the last degree, the 29th or 30th degree of any sign. And supposing the astrologer is good enough, he will see which kind of a house is that, the 4th or the 5th. If it is the 9th one, let us say, the girl or the boy will be having a mental block about the father. Yes, I have seen a case where the girl has a mental block about the father, ill-treating her mother. And the girl refused to get married. Because she thought that yes, all men are like this. Now that is because now when somebody asks the parents, one astrologer talked it out to the parents. He said, see, your girl is talking ill about you. She has a mental block and you're not really supposed to do that, because if you behave like that in front of your child, then she will have a real prejudice about getting married.
Mm.
will affect her adversely. Surprisingly, the mother came out with something else. She said, please shut your mouth. She said, my husband is not that, what you're saying. I do not know why my girl behaves like this. My husband is a gentleman, he has never treated me, least of all in front of her.
Mm.
Now, how do you come to terms with this? Why did this girl get into such a kind of a thing?
She must have observed some close.
But then she's attributing directly to her father, right? Now, I studied the horoscope and I found out that the moon was in the analytic degree of her ninth house from the. See, I think you will agree with me when I tell you that some people like only some. Some people will reject some people just like that. Some people, even if they know that the person is no good, or the guy has all the wrong things about him, wrong attitudes and approaches. Character itself is very bad, still they like. Why is this so? So when you get in touch with such questions, you have to explore astrology because that is where certain answers are given. So that is about moon being in an analytics. And of course, no, you can ask me one question. What about this girl? What to do about this? You're just diagnosed, but not not telling me the treatment, right? Yes, of course, the astrologer will have to examine the position of Jupiter and the position of Mars, and these two, and where they are positioned, whether they are aspecting moon, and the lord of this sign where moon has got into this energy. The relationship between these three planets will determine the activity. How that is done, it varies from case to case, can't be explained straight away. But I can give you some examples later during this.
We have heard about Virgo. It's very interesting to know these things. Now I would like to ask you about Prasna Lagna.
Prasna Lagna.
Yes, we have heard about it. What exactly is Prasna Lagna? How to go about it? And then, does success and failure of a task depend upon, any decision taken upon, depending upon the Prasna Lagna, we can be sure of it?
Yeah, yes. Very interesting aspect of astrology. The traditional Hindu astrology. This is one technique which really helps in life. But supposing somebody is lost, somebody is totally missing, and you don't know where he or she is. Of course, what you are supposed to do is to go to the police station and you lodge a complaint. They will take down the details and try to investigate. But whether they really are able to locate the person or not is something else. But that is totally a practical investigative job. Now, of course, even the police will go with the help of some clues. They will ask you, where does this man go generally, or where does he go? What is his tendency? Whether he's frustrated or he's having any attribute like dementia, whether he's escaping from some people who are asking for money, or there are a lot of things. That is a very practical side. Let's not go into that. But yes, there is one theory known as the Prasna Lagna. That is, supposing somebody is born at the time of talking right now, we would cast a horoscope.
Yes.
The time and place of birth, we take a lot of parameters, and the horoscope is cast. So that becomes a Lagna. So when the question is asked, or somebody has come to an astrologer and he or she asks a question, see, this is it, my boy is missing, this is the question. Immediately, the horoscope is cast considering that question for the time. The timing of the question is very important. Because here there's a little bit of abstract science. Why is it that that particular client the person has concluded or decided to ask this question of the astrologer. Somebody has forced it. You call it God or nature or Almighty, whatever it is, or whatever attribute he or she has. But asking that question itself is very interesting and very that is the most welcome sign when there is some positivity happening. Now I had a lot of good experiences with the Prashna Lagna. I have helped people locate.
Ah, yes.
But that was mostly because uh, the individuals who asked me those questions were almost illiterate. They had immense faith. Of course, they were using all other methods as well, but they tried this method also. So that's a little bit of esoteric astrology. That's a different issue. But let me not go into those. So that is what is Prashna Lagna all about. The Lagna of the horoscope so cast is known as the Prashna Lagna. Now, your second question is whether success can be determined. So somebody says, I'm going to do this now, and I'm not sure. I would suggest my clients not to go for Prashna Lagna every time. See, you got to consider a lot of aspects. Today you have the internet, you have the people around it. It is no longer a closed domain. It's a small world. So the data is just at the press of a button. So consider the data, do data mining, analyze them, feed out certain irrelevant data, synthesize them, study them, and see the possibilities. That's the scientific way of doing things. But sometimes, all attributes may not be forcing you, or maybe may not be leading you to the right decision. So whether I succeed or not, my stakes are very high. Supposing you are buying a small item, it doesn't matter if it really goes for a repairing need. But if you are really investing, let us say lakhs of rupees, something, or where you are, especially the stock broking is sometimes real estate. So you get this idea, yeah, let me also take the opinion of an astrologer and find out whether this will succeed or not. So what you have to do is, now there are two issues here. Whether success is owing to a lot of effort and strain. There are some people who tell you, see, I got this success after a lot of effort, so I'm not happy. If I got the result within no time, that is a real lovable feature. People like things to happen easily. People want easy money. There is a proverb, Asalu Kante Vaddi Muthu. When the interest earned on the money is more lovable than the money per se. So this question is whether success will come to me effortlessly. How can that be determined? With effort, it's something I'll tell you later. There are a lot of combinations. What to do, how to do this, that. Once you start telling your client, see, you have to go this way, in this direction, do that, come back, visit a temple in between, or go and pay obeisance to pray somebody else, and people are not going to do that. We are sure about it. But if we tell them, see, yes, the timing of the question is too good, and you're going to succeed, then you become good. Which means that the astrologer should also be a very lucky guy.
Yes.
Now, what is that sort of a situation? You have cast a Prashna Lagna, and you have examined the planets, their relationships. Now, the good thing about a Prashna Lagna is because the Prashna Lagna per se is right in front of you, the timing is very clear. There is no ambiguity about the time. You can cast the Navamsha also. I always advise astrologers not to go into the Navamsha if the timing is not perfect. That is, the time given to you is just a little bit of plus or minus. If the person is not really sure, don't go for the Navamsha, because the Navamsha is just a calculation right from the time again. And the reading of the Navamsha may vary. Because the Prashna Lagna, it is right in front of you, because the person has arrived and you know the time when he has asked this. But if the Lagna Lord, the Lagna itself, why am I saying the Lagna Lord and Lagna itself? Because the Lagna Lord uh, need not be necessarily in the Lagna. It can be somewhere else. Incidentally, he may be in the Lagna. So the Lagna Lord, the Lagna, and the 10th Lord. I'm not talking about the 10th house per se. The 10th Lord. Three aspects. Lagna Lord, the Lagna, and the 10th Lord. If they are aspected by a full moon, that is the Paurnami, success will come effortlessly. Now, when I said this to somebody, let me tell you, I had a practical experience. When I just said, this is it, the full moon is aspecting this, so you are going to succeed. It was a farmer who had visited me. He was going to buy some acres of land from his own master. He asked me one very interesting question. He said, I don't know why my grandfather asked me to ask this question only on a full moon day.
It's sure of result.
Now, the grandfather, a very old person, he held the idea that such things have to be done only on a full moon day.
Some vague idea.
The idea of purchasing land might have germinated long ago. It's not overnight. No? So he came to me on a full moon day as designated by his grandfather and asked me the question. And see, if you ask a question on a full moon day, that doesn't conclude that you are going to succeed. The full moon in the horoscope is supposed to aspect the Lagna Lord, and the 10th Lord.
Okay.
But that will not happen if you don't ask that on a full moon day. Very interesting. Which means that traditionally the people of those days were well aware of these calculations. That is why they keep saying, see, you have, even today, if you go to a village, they know when to harvest, when to plant the seeds, and when to plow. That is known as the agricultural astrology. These are all connected to the subject very beautifully, but that will extend these episodes beyond lifetime. So, having said this, let us see the next sun sign in the next episode. So,
Thank you.